Hi everyone, this is John Robin, and I am here today to talk to you about one of the great prizes for our review-a-thon on December 19th. Today, actually, I have Jennie Nash here, who is the founder of the Author Accelerator program, which I use for writing Blood Dawn. So I thought today that I would talk to Jennie a little bit about the program, because one of the prizes for the review-a-thon is a free month of the Author Accelerator program. Um, so what I was going to do is maybe just ask her a few questions and tell you a bit more about how the program works. Just some background. Jennie Nash is a book coach, and she teaches at the UCLA. So she's also a traditionally published author. She has books that are with a few publishers, including Simon & Schuster and Penguin. She also has been an editor on staff at Random House. So anyway, I want to just maybe pass it over to Jennie and have her answer a few questions about the program. So welcome, Jennie.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah. So one of the things, there's many authors on Inkshares who are starting out brand new. They've got a book idea, and they're able to put their books up before they even start writing them to get reader interest. So they face that scary decision that it's time to write the book, and I want to write this book really well. So say if somebody was weighing the pros and cons of, say, the Author Accelerator program or having coaching as part of their process, what would be some things you would say that they could benefit from the Author Accelerator program?
That's a great question. And that's one of the things I love about what Inkshares is doing is, lets writers put a stake in the ground and say that they're really going to do this, they're really going to move forward and make it happen. And there's nothing like that fire to get you to finish. So that's awesome. I love that. Well, the way that you use the program, John, is actually a perfect example. We are designed, I made the program based on what I've learned in my private coaching practice, which is that writers really thrive when they have regular deadlines and regular feedback. So the program is designed for writing forward in a project. So you can turn in pages every week and you get feedback every week. You can use those pages to write new material or revise material. So somebody who's already launched a project and has started would be able to start from where, if they've put in a first chunk, they can start doing the rest of the chunks with us and get that support and feedback as they go. They could also go back to the beginning if they want. Are you allowed to change what's up there, or once you put something up there, it's a done deal? How does that work?
What's that, sorry?
Oh, are you allowed to change what you put up on Inkshares? Like, are you allowed to tweak it?
Oh, you are actually. That's the beautiful thing about Inkshares. It welcomes reader input.
Okay.
So you're able to put your stuff up there, get comments, and you could publish new chapters and share that with your readers. So it's a very dynamic process.
Yeah. So if somebody was let's say you're getting feedback on those initial chapters that's not great. Maybe the reader feedback is that people are confused or you're not getting the kind of engagement you want. You could come to us with those chapters and we can help you find the weaknesses and shore them up and improve them and then post those improved chapters so you can get that key reader engagement right from the start.
Yeah. Well, that's great. So you kind of answered some of this. I was just thinking, like let's say somebody starts out brand new idea and they want to be part of the Author Accelerator program for their whole draft while they write it. What would this kind of look like in terms of a schedule? I mean, I know I've been part of it, but I thought maybe if you explained sort of the way the program works, that would be great for the Inkshares community.
That's actually my favorite thing when writers do that, whether they come to me privately or in Author Accelerator, is when they come at zero. It's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is I just really believe down to my toes that the mistakes writers frequently make happen before they even start. And there's myths about what writing is or how writing works. We get so confused in many ways by being readers. Most writers are also readers, of course. And when you read something that's finished, it feels linear, it feels, you know, whole, it feels like the writer started at word one and just wrote through without, you know, any break or pause. And it's just that, as you well know, that is not the way writing works. Writing is not linear in any way, shape, or form. And the creative process is a mess. And so if you can wrap your hands around your story before you even start, you're likely to prevent a lot of the detours or mistakes or heading off in the wrong direction. And so we designed a program I call the book startup. And the book startup is 6 or 8 weeks, depending on the genre you're writing. And it gets you to really nail down the critical questions about what the work is, you know, just the big questions and the big answers, and some of the main architecture, almost like the main spine of your story, so that you don't go off on the wrong direction. That's the best way I can say it. And it's not, a lot of people are like, oh no, that sounds like outlining, or, you know, people get very nervous about that. And it's not outlining. I don't think there's any possible way to outline every single thing that happens in a book, but you can certainly understand what you're doing, how it's going to work, what its shape is going to be. And that's what the book startup about. So my favorite thing is when people come at zero. So I hope that they.
I know for myself, I did the book startup process when I was a little bit into the draft for Blood Dawn. I think I would have benefited from doing it at the beginning, but I found that, I mean, I'm not an outliner.
Yeah.
I've tried outlining, but I'm more of a discovery writer, and I found that it's definitely not outlining. It's more about connecting to the core elements, finding your narrative drive, and if there's anything I could sort of say, if I was to generalize what I've gotten out of the author Excel, I mean, I'm going on week 66. And I'm finished this weekend, you know, and what's happened is it feels like every week I'm able to make sure I've got narrative drive. So it's so easy to say, I got to write 20 more pages, and then maybe I filled 15 pages with junk just because I had writer's block and I had to write stuff. And what I love about the process is it's not really about saying, oh, you got to follow the outline. It's more about just making sure what you're writing is moving the story to a cohesive draft. So that's been great.
I can't believe it's been 66 weeks. That's amazing. You've been an ideal writer, because I honestly don't think there's a week where you didn't turn in something. And that's the key, you know, is to just keep at it and keep at it. And maybe some weeks you throw all the pages away, or like you say, maybe you decide it's not working, but it's that diligently doing it week after week that gets you to the end for sure. And you know, I can just say something about narrative drive. I can't help but teach because I'm a teacher. You know, the vast majority of manuscripts that I see in my work, that's the problem, is that they lack narrative drive, and they're just sort of a bunch of things that happen, and there's maybe some random external events that are there that are interesting in general. But you know, what narrative drive is about is really getting the main question of the story and the main characters' desires and motivations and fears right from the beginning, so that they drive all the way through, and that each chapter builds on the next, each character builds on the next, that it's all going toward one thing. That's what readers track. That's what we come for, and that's what keeps us turning the pages. And if you don't have that narrative drive, you know, that's when people say, oh, my story's falling flat in the middle, the end is dull, or it's when writers say, I don't know what to write next. Those are all problems of narrative drive. And so that's actually exactly what we do in the book startup, is try to make sure, what is the main question your story is going to be driving to? What is that thing? And that the reader's going to be tracking. And I'm a big fan of making sure that narrative drive is in there, and that at every turn of the chapter it's in there. it's actually in every scene. It should be driving everything. So that is in fact what we look for.
Yeah, no, I think that really resonates with me. I mean, if I look at the instincts I've picked up, sort of where I'm at now versus where I was at in the beginning, when I'm writing, I'm pretty quick to delete a paragraph or two when I realize, you know what, wait a minute, that has nothing to do with the that's not moving things forward, because it's sort of like an instinct that this program has taught me. But it sort of brings me to my next point, which, you know, the thing that actually pulled me into Author Accelerator back 66 weeks ago, when I read about it on Writer Unboxed, was that idea that I think it was a quote, and I'm not sure where it quotes from, but that a draft that's been written with coaching is the equivalent to a 5th or 6th draft. And so I thought, you know, so when somebody is trying to decide, hey, should I just write the draft myself or should I get coaching, let's say through Author Accelerator, this idea that you're producing something that's pretty much as solid as something that's written again and again 5 or 6 times to try to figure out what the focus of the story is. So I don't know if I've always been curious sort of where that quote comes from and what you think about that.
Yeah, I think that might have been something that Lisa Cron said on Writer Unboxed. She's a columnist there, and she's the author of a book called Wired for Story. She's actually a coaching client and a friend and a colleague of mine. And I believe she's the one who said that quote, but it's absolutely 100% true. And, you know, the thing, self-publishing and hybrid publishing has cracked open publishing for so many writers, and it's just made so many opportunities for people, and it's been an amazing and wonderful thing. But it also comes with its downsides, and the downside is that every traditionally published writer would be assigned an editor from the moment their book was signed, and they would have somebody tracking them and following them and encouraging them and giving them support all the way through. And when you self-publish or you hybrid publish, or you don't know what you're going to do, but you're just writing your book, you don't have that support. And it, you know, the thing that's hard is writing is such an incredibly solitary endeavor, right? There's no way you can do it except when you're alone in your own head and your own mind. Even if you're in a bustling coffee shop, you've got to tune into your own mind. It's very solitary. It's very isolating in some ways, and there's not a lot of people who can execute the story in their head without some sort of outside perspective or help. I mean, I'm the author of 8 books. I've had 7 of them traditionally published. I've had that editor-writer relationship. And one thing that it does, like you just said, is it builds your own muscle. It builds your own perceptive muscle of your own work so that you're able to read it and assess it in a better way, a more discerning way. That actually is for sure something that happens. But the other thing that happens is just that incredible support. And what I wanted to build with Author Accelerator was a way to give that to writers before they are finished with their first book, or if they need it while they're writing subsequent books. It's something that is just not out there for people, and I think you can probably attest. There's just nothing like having somebody paying attention, really close attention to your work. And the sad truth of the matter is, you have to pay to get it. That's the sad truth. Like, you can ask your partner or your mom or your neighbor or your English teacher or another writer to read your work, and they will, but they're not going to bring to it that incredibly discerning eye. You know, because it's not, why should they? I guess. So that's a main thing of what we try to offer people, and it's well, you can talk about what that's like. I know you've had 2 editors in your 66 weeks, and I always remember, John, that you didn't want your first one to go because you had formed such a connection and a bond with her, and we actually ended up promoting her in our business as our business has grown, and you were so sad. And then really quickly soon after, you felt that same way about your next editor, right?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing I've also learned about that, I mean, I think it was a good thing to have the switch in the publishing industry, you do change editors, and it's really about developing a rapport and communication. I mean, everyone will bring a different things on board, but at the end of the day, it's that objective editorial input, which comes from training. It's the same standards, right? So
there's nothing like it, and I seek it out myself for my own work. I have a book coach for my own work, even though I'm a book coach. It's very, very difficult to look at your own work with any kind of, you can try. There's things you can do to try. There's things you can do to learn. You can get better at it for sure. But at the end of the day, that's that all those cliches like kill your darlings. The fact of the matter is they're your darlings because you love them. You wrote them. You love them and you think they're awesome, and you read them and you think, wow, I am so good. And then somebody else comes along and says, yeah, but that doesn't actually have anything to do with your story. It doesn't serve the narrative drive. And, you have to be able to stand back and say, oh yeah, I guess they're right.
Yeah, and the advantage to having the coaching as you're going is you could be making those decisions right away. And I find for me, like, let's say if I made a decision at the quarter-way mark of the book, that's going to influence many other decisions for the rest of the book. And so if I made a wrong decision quarter of the way through, I've got to go and I've got to cut everywhere where that changed, and it becomes a nightmare. So I think, that pretty much describes my previous attempt at writing a novel, where I wrote it all by myself. I use the analogy of a tree growing up next to a fence, where all the bark comes through, and there's just no way you're going to get the fence out of that tree.
That's true. It's really true. Yeah, so I think working with, one thing that's hard for people to understand is that working with a coach gets you to a draft that is 5 or 6 times further down the road than you would be able to do by yourself. But that being said, once you finish a draft, some of the best work on a book comes after that point. A mistake I see a lot of self-published and hybrid published writers make is they finish their first draft and they automatically think their book is ready to be published. They think it's ready to go out in the world. And that's what Inkshares program is so great, is it's giving you that reader feedback and that reader assessment so that maybe you're not going to publish something. And let's say the worst thing happens. Let's say you put a book up on Inkshares and it doesn't get the readership it needs to move forward. That to me is not a bad thing at all. That means you've got, great feedback. You've got something to learn. You can figure out what you didn't do right, do it better next time, start over and get it right. And that's exactly what most independent writers are not doing. They're finishing their book, they're throwing it out there, hoping for readership, not doing anything to connect with readers, to understand reader feedback, and that's usually a recipe for heartbreak. And nobody wants writers to feel heartbroken. The whole thing with this new publishing landscape and the opportunities is supposed to be good for writers, not break their hearts. So I love that Inkshares does that, and I like that you had that experience. You have some solid support for your book now going forward, and Fled Dawn made it. That's awesome, and we want that for all writers, really. So everybody who I think is serving writers well would say the same thing. You want them not just to be published, but to connect with readers. Just being published alone is can be very, very sad if you are not connecting with readers. And I actually know, because I've had that experience. I published a book that I didn't publish well, and I was very smug, and I didn't do my homework, and I didn't get the feedback I needed. I didn't listen. I really made every mistake that you can make, and it's horrible. There's nothing worse, actually. Not being published is probably better than being published and not doing the work you need to connect with readers. It's my sense.
Yeah, no, that's very. I definitely would agree with every bit of that. And when I chose Inkshares as a platform for Blood Dawn, of course, although it was great if I could get enough readers and get published on Inkshares, that was a bonus. But it was really because I saw the opportunity, like you're saying, to put your work out there and get some input.
Yeah.
So I know I'm going to write the draft. I know I'm going to go through some exhaustive revisions and this process where, you know, if Inkshares wasn't in the picture, I would still be preparing it for agents. And the script I want to hand over to Inkshares this April is the same quality as what I would send out to agent submissions. But the nice thing about having it on the Inkshares platform is you've got the chance to build a readership, to connect with readers, to get input, and all these great things.
Yeah.
So just this sort of brings me to my my last point here, which is about the, you know, so with you kind of touched on it with you know, the draft is not it. You're done writing the draft. That's great. It's solid. You have to then look at what comes next, and of course there's revision. But you know, in terms of authors who've gone through the program, I mean, it's great to have this support and produce a good draft. But I also know that there's many success stories for authors who have gone through the Author Accelerator program. So I thought maybe you could just share a few highlights, just some of the success stories you've had from people that have done this.
Yeah, definitely. So oddly enough, the program is still sort of new, even though you've been doing it for all those weeks. But it takes so long to write a book that the first wave of people who are finishing is only just happening now, even though we've been live and editing for more than a year. Most of the original members are just finishing their books now, and we've had a couple of people go out, and one person had a great deal of success in one of the Pit Mad contests on Twitter and landed some agent interest. And we have a couple other people right now who are going back and forth with agents, and that is all kind of unfolding right now. But I would have to say that the biggest successes for me are just the testimonials of the people who are in it and who have finished, and who say things like they didn't think they could do it without us, or they've been trying for years and hadn't done it. And by it, I mean finish their book, actually do it, write it, and be a writer in the world. You know, I could, well, no, I couldn't. I could never be the kind of person who could say, we'll help you write a bestseller, or, you know, we'll help you get 10,000 readers, or, you know, I can't make those promises. The promises that I can make is that we'll help you write a better book than you could have written on your own, and we'll help you actually do it. We'll help you get past the doubt and the confusion and the procrastination that plagues writers. That's what I'm offering. That's why I made this program, and that's for sure what people are getting out of it. And it gives me huge pride to see that in people. You're going to see really soon, John, because you're about to finish Blood Dawn. The best day in the life of a book, I think, is the day you finish your rough draft. There are a lot of good days in the life of a book, and everybody dreams of the days holding a book in your hand, seeing a book on the shelf. Seeing a stranger read your book is a pretty great feeling, like on a plane or at an airport, or, you know, out in the world. But I maintain that the best day is the day you finish, that you actually did it, and you prove to yourself, you know, so many people talk about writing a book. Oh, someday I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to do this, or I'd like to do this. But to actually do it, to have actually executed it, that's the big prize. And we have so many people coming through Author Accelerator who feel that joy and that success, and so to me, that's the big win.
Yeah, I think I mean, there's two things that makes me think. One is, of course, just having a program. I mean, you've seen my timeline that I've put up on the Blood Dawn page for when I'm going to finish and revisions. And, you know, being part of the Author Accelerator program, because you also have editing services, things to help writers just go right from idea to something they could send out to agents. So that's been great for me to know that that's there, and I feel like I can put out something successful. Whereas otherwise, I'm just going entirely on my own judgment, and okay, I'm going to write draft 1, I'm going to do draft 2, and you know, I have no sense of if I'm nailing it or not. But another thing this makes me think is, you know, I am going to finish writing Blood Dawn this weekend, and
That's great.
I'm already feeling this emotional firework inside. In fact, yesterday I woke up at 7 o'clock and went back to sleep and had a very strange dream, and it ended up turning into kind of living through one of them going to write, and I've been in this funny headspace where I just can't wait to open up the manuscript and finish it. So I really relate to that, about even though I know there's so much work ahead, that's a huge milestone because the story is out. And you know, I do like to sometimes weigh my gut intuitions. I mean, the last book that I wrote that never, you know, I didn't publish, I put away, my intuition at the end was something is wrong with this and I don't know what. Whereas my intuition this time, you know, and I try to maintain as much humility as I can, but my gut tells me I nailed it. So that's the feeling. I mean, I know there's work to do still, but that's the overall feeling, and that's a really positive feeling. And I don't think I could have done that without this program being, like, having this mentorship and the structure and the support and everything. So yeah, it's definitely in terms of success, I think that's the most meaningful as far as.
Yeah, and I just have to say, make sure. Well, a few things. Make sure you do something to celebrate when you actually finish, because you know it's easy to just let it pass by, but it is a big day, and to mark it and to you know, recognize your achievement. Make sure you do that this weekend, because it is big. It's really big, and you've done something. I mean, there was nothing, and you made something. You made a whole world. Your book is 760 pages long. I mean, it's a big something, and you've got, you know, characters, and of course you're going to dream about it. And a lot of writers at this stage freak out. Like I work with writers all day long who are weepy, and they cry, and they can't. Some of them actually can't do the very final thing, you know, to finish the book because they're scared of finishing. And the fact of the matter is that publishing under any circumstances is a roll of the dice. You can't control it. You don't know what's happening in the world. You don't know what's happening. You cannot control it. I published a book, a memoir, in 1990. Now I'm going to get all of the dates wrong. But here's what I know: the book was published the day before 9/11, the terrorist attacks of 9/11, and we had publicity scheduled. We had interviews scheduled. I am not a person who regularly gets my nails done, but my publicist had told me to get my nails done because we were doing some TV presentations, and she wanted to make sure my nails looked nice on TV. And I'm embarrassed to admit, but one of the first thoughts I had when I heard the news of what was happening in the world was, am I supposed to still get my nails done? You know, it was just kind of that strange reaction, like, has the world changed that much overnight? And of course the answer was yes, it had, but it took a while to sink in. So obviously nothing that we had planned for my book happened. It did not play out the way it was supposed to play out. And, you know, that's an insignificant thing in light of what actually happened that day. But, you know, I can't control that. The world is not, you know, under my control. But what I can control is I can write the best book I can. I can, like you said, the joy of writing something that your instinct tells you is good. There is nothing like that. There is no feeling like that. And whatever happens out in the world, again, we don't know, but you always will have that. And that's why I think it's the best day, because that's about really just between you and the work, and you and what you made. And it's powerful, and it's beautiful, and it means you're a writer. You became a writer when you finished that book, and, you know, congratulations.
Yeah. No, thanks for that. I mean, I'm definitely going to, it's going to feel special, but I think you've convinced me to make it to celebrate maybe even more, maybe eat at one of the one of the fancy restaurants here in Winnipeg. One of the many places I usually don't go because they're, you know, trying to save money, but maybe that'll be an exception.
Really, I mean, you know, there's a lot of ways to celebrate, but just to even just taking some quiet time to reflect on what you did, on your accomplishment, you know, even just taking a
Yeah.
walk and thinking, wow, look what I did, and telling yourself, you know, that you're proud of yourself. That's a powerful thing, and it's, I think you will feel it for sure, but just to mark it in some way, I think is really good. And another thing I would suggest, John, is write about it on that day. Write down how it feels and what you think, because that will be a really precious document to you.
Ah, okay. Good suggestions. Yeah. See, I'm glad I'm part of this program. This is, you know, these are things I wouldn't think about. I would probably just forge right ahead into the next thing and not think about it. But
No,
you're very
you
right
got
that
a
I think
fantastic day.
to acknowledge success, it's very important to anchor that, because that's also going to carry forward that feeling of confidence and belief in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I have a book that's going to be published, and I'm going to be doing book launch, book tours, various things, and that passion and belief is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, so thank you for joining today with and just talking about the program. I think this is awesome that we can introduce the Inkshares community to the Author Accelerator program. I mean, I've mentioned it a little bit in my correspondence with various writers, but I think to just have you here talking about it is great, and I'm really hoping that more writers will check out this program. So just for everyone watching, a reminder that one of the grand prizes for the review-a-thon is a free month of Author Accelerator that's valued at $199. So that's quite a prize to have a free month of that, and that means you can get started on a new project or wherever you want to jump in, and you're going to get coaching you pick a day, and every, you know, one day each week you submit 10 pages of your work in progress. So I mean, you can get 40 pages into something and check it out. And, you know, as Jenny mentioned, of course it is an investment, but as I've come to see it, it's very worthwhile investment. I mean, you want to go to the gym and get fit, you get a personal trainer, you pay for that, right? I mean, the way I see it, I'm a very serious writer. I want to succeed, so that's very much worth my while. But it's a great prize to try it out. Now, another thing, and I'm just going to verify with Jenny this is correct, but everybody who enters a review, whether you win or not, is eligible for half price. Is it half price for the first month of Author Accelerator?
Yeah, that's right. I'm really pleased to offer the Inkshares community who participates in this little adventure of book reviewing to try the program. And all you have to do when you sign up, if you don't win the grand prize of the free month, if you use the code HALF-OFF, so just HALFOFF, half off, when you sign up, you get half off your first month. And we're happy to do that because we're 100% confident that anybody who tries the program is going to fall in love with it. We've seen that to be true. So we're happy to offer that to any Inkshares writers who want to give it a try and see what working one-on-one with an editor each week feels like. And one thing about our program is it's a month-to-month process. There's no long-term contract. So at any time that it's not working for you, you just stop. I don't want to lock anybody into anything that's not helping their writing. So yeah, come check it out if you don't win, and take that half off code and use that, and we would love to see you. And when you sign up for Author Accelerator, the first thing you get is a quiz, a Q&A questionnaire. That's the word I'm looking for, a questionnaire about your project and where you are, and just let us know that you came from Inkshares so we know who you are and that you saw this, and we can kind of give some context to your project and what you're going to do with it. And thanks to John and to his book Blood Dawn, we're well aware of the Inkshares program and how it works and what you need, and he's a pioneer in these things, and so we'll give you the same big treatment.
All right. No, that's great. Thanks, Jenny. It's a very generous offer for the community, and I really hope that lots of people will follow up on this. And so it's simple. Review one book, and you have an entry in the contest to win maybe the free month. But either way, no matter what, you're gonna get half off that first month to try this great program out. Yeah, so that's December 19th. I'm sure a lot of you know that because there's all kinds of reader updates going around, and I'm going to send an update around to everyone. I'm assuming in watching this video, you've probably linked to it from one of those things. So December 19th, all day long, we're having this event. All you got to do is review one book to enter. But the more you review, the more chances you have to win. And there's all kinds of other prizes that we're offering. But today, I just want to talk about this particular one since this is a program that I've been using myself, and I thought it'd be great to talk about it and have Jenny here as well. So anyway, thanks again, Jenny, for taking some time to talk about the program.
You're welcome. I'm happy to do it, and good luck to you this weekend finishing your book, and good luck to everyone in the program. It's a good chance to be a good literary citizen, right? We got to support our fellow writers, and Inkshares is doing some good things out there. So good luck to everyone, and hopefully we'll see you over at Author Accelerator.
All right. Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, bye, everyone.